The first book, the one in front with the purple color, I wanted to explain, particularly to parents, what is the nature of autism? Where does it come from? And then why is early intervention so important? So I have a section in there that ties early intervention to brain development. And so it's kind of a Autism 101 for parents and particularly for practitioners. The Freedom from Meltdowns book is a book really for parents. Every single child with autism, well, there's lots of kids for that matter, have meltdowns. They get upset about something, and the problem with kids with autism is that we don't understand, A, what triggers them, and then what do you do about it? And most of the time we say, parents say, what should I do when he has a meltdown? And my answer is it's too late. What you want to do is do something before the child has a meltdown so they don't have a meltdown. Now, I realize the reality that some will occur that you can't predict. And there are some strategies in there about, for instance, the dreaded public meltdown, which every parent fears of going out in public and their kid is down on the sidewalk screaming and carrying on. So yeah, there are some things you can learn to do that will make life a lot easier. The Straight Talk book on autism, that is also specifically for parents, and the structure of the book takes the reader, the parent, through daily life. What are some of the things you can do? Like, for instance, parents will often ask me, well, what do you do about chores and responsibility at home? Well, I have some good ideas in there. I think every child with autism should have chores at home like all the other kids. And what do you do about notions of morality? Does a child with autism understand right from wrong? Well, not all of them, but they understand a lot of stuff that you would be surprised. And so how do we think about that, and then what can we do about it? The most recent one, this Individualized Autism Intervention book, is really primarily to help parents think through the question, what do I do? I go to my pediatrician, or I go to school, and they tell me, well, there's this therapy and that therapy and the other therapy, and I say, well, which one is right for my child? And they say, well, the evidence isn't altogether in, and they're all good for some children, which is absolutely worthless to parents. What they want to know is what will work for my child. What I've tried to do in this book is to lay out, like in a table, all the different kinds of interventions and how are they similar and how are they really different. Some of those differences don't matter. They're just kind of frosting. And some of those differences are critical. And so I think it's important to understand which are which. Then what I ask myself is, if I have a child with autism, how much do I want to have him engaged in or her engaged in a naturalistic approach, which is very popular, as opposed to a more structured approach, like a discrete trial approach. And there's a scale in the book that lets you evaluate each child and say, well, what's the balance for this kid? So the parents are not put in the situation of having to say, I'm pledging allegiance to the discrete trial approach, or I'm pledging allegiance to pivotal response training. But what's the balance of those types of interventions for this particular child today that makes the most sense?